everyone, and welcome back to my Dungeons & Dragons channel. We're trying something a little bit new today, something I've never done before, and we're gonna do a character build live. At Great Goat on Fire commented on one of my videos and suggested to me a build they had done before that involved a small-sized creature, an artificer, battlesmith, who used their steel defender in order to, as a mount, to move around the battlefield, which I thought was a really intriguing idea and something that I wanted to experiment with. And so today we're going to be playing with trying to build an effective artificer, at least partially artificer. We're going to try to build a character that uses the steel defender as a mount and does it effectively. Might be an interesting challenge. So we're going to, sorry, give me a second. There we go. Starting in D&D Beyond, to build this character, we're going to need to start Artificer, right? That's the core concept of the class, is that you are playing as this Artificer who uses the mount, who uses their steel defender as the mount. So that is what we're going to be doing. The character's name is Gallop. We don't need homebrew. And everything else there should work. For this to work, we're going to need a small size character. I'm actually playing an Artificer right now in the main campaign I'm a player in. It is an Artificer 15 Kobold, Paladin 3, Wizard 1. But that's an armor, which is a little bit different. But I do like Kobolds, so let's do that for our race. Did Kobolds lose? Oh, Kobolds lost pack tactics in Monsters of the Multiverse. Do I want to already bend the rules and play as a legacy Kobold so I can get pack tactics? Because if my mount counts as an ally, which it does because it's a steel defender, then I would have advantage if I get up within 5 feet of the enemy. So that makes me kind of tempted to try it with the pack tactics. We're gonna do it with the legacy one. If your DM doesn't allow it, it'll still work with the new Monsters of the Multiverse one. I think this will just make it a little bit more effective. Okay. That's fine. First class has to be Artificer. For proficiencies, you can really choose whatever's going to work best with your build, because none of these are going to affect what we're mostly focused on building. I like Arcana. I like Perception. And we're going to also add a proficiency in something we won't be getting elsewhere. So we want to leave off Smith's Tools. We're going to take Alchemist Supplies. Let's take Smith's Tools for now. This is also where we get our spell casting and our magical tinkering. Magical tinkering is a fun one. It lets you infuse a little bit of magic into something. You make something light up a little bit, which is helpful. You can make something emit a recorded message, which if you're creative with it, it can be fun. You can make it emit odors and other things. It's a really fun little way to kind of get around this. Part of the philosophy with this build is we're going to try to get Battlesmith Artificer, because Battlesmith will end up making it so we don't need a particularly high dexterity or strength, because we'll be able to attack using our because we'll be able to attack using our intelligence, which is a feat you get level 3 in artificer, so that's okay for now. Oh, I like to do rolled, but it makes sense to do point buy so these can be replicated. We want to get a lot into our intelligence since that's mostly what we're going for here. We're also going to want to bump constitution as much as we can, give dexterity at least to normal, get strength at least to normal. Let's see where that leaves us. Bump constitution again. Gotta bump wisdom after that. Let's get charisma up. Because well, now this leads to a couple of other interesting questions, like, am I going to want a multi-class paladin to add in smite damage, which is such a useful and powerful way to, like, add damage on every single hit. I think I probably will, just knowing me. Some of my weaknesses, that's okay, we don't need to override that. And good. So we've applied our points: 10 strength, 10 dexterity, 14 constitution, 15 intelligence, 10 wisdom, 13 charisma. So currently my Kobold artificer, since you mentioned that great goat on fire, they have a 3 in strength. We do roll 4d6, get the lowest, and I got 4 1s on my roll, and I ended up putting in strength, and now they're a 90-year-old kobold, and they get like their strength from their armor, and it works in character. It works in character, but it is challenging when you roll. It also, sometimes you'll get people who get like multiple 18s right at level 1, which is just... it breaks certain expectations of the balance. You can work around it as a DM, and I still let my players roll because rolling is a fun way to do it, but like, it's not foolproof, you know? Languages are fine. Background. Let's see, we're gonna be working as a tinkerer. We're gonna learn how to mount. What do we wanna do with this? We're gonna say we're working as a guild artisan or guild merchant. I'm not trying to like fully power game this yet, so we're just kind of taking things that make sense. Alchemist supplies, we get an extra language. We already have common and draconic. We're gonna want something else that's relatively common. Let's go dwarvish. Guild membership makes sense, right? We're an artificer, we're learning that first. I always do equipment. Gold is better. And we're gonna start at this point with a spear and a dagger. And we want studded leather. This is also why we didn't want our dexterity to be super low, is because armor is gonna be a problem. We could have gone like, try to get our strength high enough, taken fighter first, gotten the heavy armor proficiency and worn like plate armor to kind of make this work, but then you have to deal with like bringing those points up in strength, so you're losing a little bit of the signal ability score benefit you get from going artificer, and it just felt like it didn't fit with the core concept of the build, right? We want to use the thing as a mount. We got to get that first before we do any of my multi-classing nonsense. You already have alchemist supplies, so we're gonna take what sounds fun? Tinkerer's tools, of course. We're an artificer. Okay, our equipment's added, and let's view our character sheet at level 1. First, let's actually pick out our artificer spells. There's a few I know we're going to be taking. We're going to want Booming Blade, because until we get 2 attacks, that's what's really going to help us get some extra damage on some of those. And then we'll also want something to do a little bit of damage at distance. We'll take Firebolt, unless, do we need something more utility? Yeah, we need Mending. For the Steel Defender, we need Mending. We're going to take Absorb Elements, because it helps us survive for longer. And then we're going to take Cure Wounds. And that's all for now. Okay. Inventory. We equip our studded leather armor, equip our spear. we download that. Thieves tools, tinkerers tools. Okay, this isn't awful for level 1. Right? We've got 10 hit points, which could be worse, but could be better. Our AC is going to be a bit of a problem for a while, as are like some of our saving throws. +0 on wisdom saving throws, that hurts. That makes me want to think about getting resilient at some point. +1 on dex saving throws, not great, but like we've got something here. You're working as an artificer, you're learning your different things, and now we go back to the builder. Like I said, we gotta take at least the first 3 in artificer to get anywhere. So that is gonna be that. Do this real quick. At key points, I'm gonna download the character sheet. There is a link to a Google Drive folder in the description of this video. You guys will be able to see the character sheets that way. Time to pick our infusions. There's a couple different things that can help us here. Armor of Magical Strength would help us on our strength saving throws. Yeah, so it would help make that less of a problem. Repeating Shot is what Great Coat on Fire thought would be a good thing to do with this build, and it would be, right? You take Crossbow Expert, you take Repeating Shot, you use a hand crossbow, you maybe do a dip for action surge, you run around, you shoot a lot of people, and you stack up your damage that way, doing sharpshooters for like the +10 on those shots. I want to do something a little tankier, something that gets up in combat a little bit more, something that, to me, I think mounted that makes more sense in D&D combat is to be doing that in a way where you can charge into combat and interact that way. So I don't think that's what I'm going to take here. We are going to want an enhanced weapon. We are going to want enhanced defense. And then I'm going to let go of Armor of Magical Strength to take Mind Sharpener. Yeah, eventually we'll want that. And then finally we'll take... Oh, are there any good magic items at this level? It's gotta be something good. I don't think we have Detect Magic yet, so that might actually be helpful. Yes, that's what we want. Okay. And then Artificer Specialist, at this level we take Battlesmith, which gives us some cool new features. Every Artificer at 3rd level gets the right tool for the job, which lets you spend an hour to basically make any type of tool you need. It's not the most useful thing. Often you have tools, but it has come in useful for me, like when I've had to fix my armor out in the wilderness and wasn't carrying smith's tools, right? Knowing you can spend an hour using your tinker's tools or your thieves tools to make improvised smith tools that are going to work for you to do your repairs can come in handy. We also get to pick another tool proficiency. We get so many proficiencies in tools as an artificer. Let's take jeweler's tools. That's fun. Battlesmith spells. The really awesome one we get here is that shield. We get shield. Shield gives you a +5 to your AC for the rest of your turn when you cast it as a reaction. So that's going to help us not have such a challenging AC. So that is one of the other benefits of going. The other thing is we get when you attack with a magic weapon, which when we infuse a regular weapon, it becomes a magic weapon, we can use our intelligence modifier instead of strength or dex, which means we can we don't need to progress our strength anymore. We may bump our dex for other reasons, but we are now able to focus primarily on getting our intelligence up, which will help our spells as well. And we also get our Steel Defender, which as is mentioned, is this medium-sized construct. You get 2 plus your intelligence modifier plus 15 hit points here, a speed of 40, and it is a reasonably useful thing. When you're not riding it, if it was acting independently, I guess this probably kind of could act independently. It can do some attacks, it can do some repairs. It's got its own reaction, which lets it impose disadvantage on someone trying to do an attack, which is useful, though not super useful with some of the other stuff we're going to stack on top of it. But mostly, as Great Goat on Fire pointed out, you get to ride this mechanical thing around the battlefield, just kind of messing things up. And I think that is kind of like what we want to lean into for the rest of the build, is we want to get really good at riding our Steel Defender. So let's take a quick look at the character sheet now. Still no ASIs, so most of that's the same. Let's do our infusions quick. Oh, this is where it gets tricky. Yeah, we need to do an enhanced weapon. That's going to be our spear. 8 infusion, good. And then I think we're going to want to do, because I think we only have 2 right now. Yeah, we've got no concentration spells yet. So for now, we're going to infuse our armor and make it magical as well. And so that's going to give us a little bit more AC, make us that little bit harder to hit. And that is where we're at right now. AC 14, 24 hit points, +1 on initiative. We are doing +5 to hit now, which is good. We're doing 1d8 +3 if we're doing it two-handed, and we can start riding around on our thing. Now, let's just refresh ourselves on the rules of mounted combat, because I want to make sure I get these right. Half your movement speed to mount, which is something we'll get around. I've got a way around that. Moves your mount, DC 10 dex save, that's fine. If your mount is knocked prone, you can use your reaction, that's fine. And this is the part. You can either control the amount or allow it to act independently. So if you're controlling it, it moves as you direct it. Only 3 attack options: dash, disengage, and dodge. If it's independent, has no restrictions, moves and acts as it wishes, might flee from combat. Okay, now I need to check one last thing on the Steel Defender and how it's written here. Can move and use its... Okay, so if you want it to act if you wanted it to act independently, so that, for example, you could use the Steel Defender's attacks, you would need to use your bonus action to effectively command it as to where you want to go or whatever else. Otherwise, you can control it and just ride it like a normal mount, and it will not be able to use its attacks, and that's fine. So that's what we're going to do most of the time. We're going to be controlling it, because that makes sense. So yeah, we're doing a little bit more damage. We've got a couple more spells we can add here. Oh, let's see what's going to make sense. We definitely need shield, like I said. Oh, shield's always prepared. Sanctuary would give us a little more survivability. Long Strider would give us a little more speed, help us get away from things. I would probably take Identify in a real campaign, because it's just such a useful spell, unless we had a wizard or something. I think for now we're going to take just Disguise Self, because it's a really good spell. And we're a small little lizard person who might freak some people out, especially when we're riding around in our mechanical dog. Okay, so now we come to what is a kind of challenging decision point in this build. And that's that I want to take this to take some fighter levels to get some of the Cavalier features, because it works really well with having the mount here. But if we go straight into fighter at this point, we end up basically needing to delaying our extra attack for so long that it hurts the damage over a lot of the next several levels. That's somewhat helped by the fact that we've got Booming Blade, which means we'll be doing a little bit of extra damage, but it still doesn't feel great to me, you know? There's a feat I want to take, so actually, you know what? We are going to take another 2 levels, I think, in Artificer, and then we're going to go with some fighter levels. I also like having a bit of magic in my martial characters. I like gishes, I like spell swords. It's a fun type of build to play. It really makes you feel powerful when you can both hack and slash, absorb the damage, do a little bit of support, and do this magic. Right now, at this ability score improvement, we're going to take a feat, and we're going to take, a fun little one called Polearm Master. Now, the fun thing with Polearm Master is it gives you an extra bonus action attack, which is good if you have nothing else to do with your bonus action, and it lets you take an opportunity attack when creatures enter your reach, which will be important. We'll get to why. Some people already can imagine why, but that's going to be a fun little feature. Then we take level 5, so we get extra attacks, so we won't need to wait, so it won't feel as bad waiting to get that when we multi-class fighter next. Let's take a quick look at where that puts us. Still haven't gotten to bump any of our scores, which hurts, frankly. Wait, did we get more infusions that I didn't take? Nope. You can hope. Ooh, another thing to note with kobolds is they do have disadvantage on perception checks in sunlight, so you'll want to find a way around that. You're an artificer, so hopefully you can craft some kind of visor, some kind of sunglasses, something that'll help you get around that, but it is a good thing to be aware of. The other reason I wanted to get up to level 5 here is because we get 2nd level spells. Vortex Warp is really fun if your DM's going to allow the absolutely broken stuff that comes out of Strixhaven's. It lets you basically point at these different points and teleport yourself or others. So you can pull like a wounded teammate in, pull an enemy towards you, a whole bunch of different, or even send yourself like 90 feet away, all with a 2nd level spell. Takes your action on like the bonus action of like Misty Step, but being able to target other people, including enemies, makes this just such a powerful spell. It's not as broken as Silvery Barbs, but it's still, Vortex Warp is pretty questionable, if you ask me. But like the whole point of the Strixhaven book is that you're supposed to feel that way, right? So just before you ever put a spell like that on your build, talk to your DM, make sure it fits with the world, make sure it fits with the power levels everyone's going for. We're building for like a specific kind of thing here, and I think it's a really fun spell. So now what you're doing most turns is you are casting Booming Blade, doing that extra 1d8 on your spear attack, which is +6 to hit for 1d8 +3. Running up on your mount, then you're watch it in. So actually, 1 second, we're changing some things here now that we're gonna change our spear to a glaive, so we get the extra reach. So we gotta change that in fusion. Yeah, and so now we're using our glaive, and so we're staying a little bit out of their reach. We're still hitting them with it, and then honestly, if they only have 5 for reach, we're coming up to like 10 feet away. stabbing them quick with the booming blade, add the extra d8, then we're moving back, so we are like 15, 20 feet away, and we're hoping they move towards us, so they take the extra 2d8 from booming blade, and if they move into our reach, we then get another opportunity to attack using our reaction, right? That is going to be our and sorry, we're gonna attack twice. Nope. Sorry, this is the tricky part, because now that we can attack twice, you gotta decide whether you want to attack twice or do booming blade. I think stick to attacking twice, because that is going to be more of what your character will be doing going forward. Before we move off this, let me pull down this character sheet. Excellent. And so now we're gonna start getting some fighter levels. And we're going to be taking quite a few fighter levels. And the reason we're taking fighter levels is because of the Cavalier subclass. Starting at 3rd level, we become really good at staying on our mount, which will be important here. We land on our feet, we're not incapacitated, or we land on our feet if we get knocked off instead of going prone, which will be helpful. And when we hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, so generally will be the first one we hit on our turn, we'll do that. We mark that creature. They then have disadvantage on any attack roll that doesn't target us. And if they do attack someone that doesn't target us, well, then we get to make a attack against them with our bonus action, and we have advantage on that, right? And so with extra damage. And so this is kind of like we're heading a little bit towards tanking here. We need to get some boost to our stats and stuff to really pull that off as the build, but that's kind of where we're going with this. And so let's see what this looks like once we get 3 levels here in this, and then we'll get into some of the other features we get. Oh, are we gonna be able to take? Nope, we're not going to be able to take fighter because I set my multi-classes up wrong. This is troubling. Okay. Well, that's going to hurt. So we had to bump our strength down there, bump our dexterity up a bit so that we can add another class. Remember, before you start multi-classing, talk to your DM. Different worlds will have different expectations and things like that. It's not always going to be appropriate. But I think the idea here, story-wise, would be that you've been learning how to fight on your mount here. You've been gaining a different appreciation for it, and now you kind of want to really learn how to be good at doing that. And so you start doing this additional martial training to hone those types of abilities. So we're going to add that class, pop in 3 levels. We're going to take great weapon fighting. Because now when we roll a 1 or 2 on the damage die, we get to re-roll it, which is just going to boost our average damage on every attack we make. Martial archetype, we're taking Cavalier here. Bonus proficiency, we are taking a skill. I see why animal handling's on here, but that doesn't make sense for us, so we're gonna get a cool history thing. Well, actually, I'm going to take 1 point away from strength. I might as well take 2 points away from strength and get my dexterity a little bit higher, because that'll bump my AC too, which should make things look a little bit better when we get to this page. Okay, we're up to 62 hit points. That's a little bit better. AC of 15. Plus 2 initiative here now. This is a little bit better. Plus 6 to hit. We've got 2 attacks per turn, each doing 1d10 plus 3. We get to re-roll that d10 if it's a 1 or a 2. And Yeah, we have our Steel Defender stats here. It's up to 29 hit points. It can still use its reaction to do those deflections. So now we are riding our thing up into combat much more assuredly now that we have these extra few levels in fighter, taking likely 2 attacks with the glaive, slashing into whatever creatures here, and then deciding to either hitting it with our unwavering mark so that it has to come attack us. We're moving out of its melee range, waiting for it to move into us, taking our reaction to use our opportunity attack. When it does that, it takes its attacks against us then, which we'll have to just survive as best we can now. 62 hit points isn't awful for level 8, but like, it's not spectacular, that's for sure. And hopefully by like doing this little bit of game where we're moving them, you can keep racking that damage up. You might decide that you don't want to take both attacks and would rather do Booming Blade because you're doing a good job at getting them to move. And Booming Blade will keep scaling with your level, even though you're not taking caster levels, because that's how cantrips work in 5e. And so I think there's certainly an argument to be made for that type of tactic here instead. I just kind of wanted to lean into like the mounted kind of image here, and so that's where I went with it. We now have Action Surge, so often when you're ready, you can burn that, get an additional action to either cast a spell or do those extra 2 attacks and get that extra damage in. And yeah, using... Wait, can we only use our... Oh, Unwavering Mark is limited by our strength modifier. Well, that's a rough feature. Well, it is what it is, you know. So we only get to do that on like probably like our Nova round, the one we're trying to go the hardest and most bait them in. Man, that sucks. That makes me want to throw out the build. Maybe I'll do another one and drop the artificer and just do a cavalier build or something. Or like, no, this is the concept. This is the concept. We're sticking with this concept for now. Yeah, this is the concept. Okay, so we're going to see this through. So we should not have any new spells. Yeah, no new spells because we didn't take any new artificer levels. From here, we've got choices again. So looking at fighter, we'd get an ASI soon, which would be great. Especially since I'm tempted to pick up another feat, or a few feats really. And so there's a lot of advantage to going up that way. At 7th level in fighter is when we get the ability to protect people nearby us from attacks against them, which helps us keep our mount alive, and potentially like other people who are in our party who are trying to defend. But that's going to be a little bit, I think this is a little bit power gamey what I'm doing right now. Oh, Paladin needs 13 strength. I thought it was a charisma prereq. Well. So, we're not going to be very charismatic anymore. Not very charismatic at all. We're going to be a bit stronger, though. Yeah, we're going to be a bit stronger. And so now we're just going to do a very power gamey. Oh, there's a double requirement on Paladin? Oh, that makes sense. It's a really powerful class. Okay, so we're not multi-classing Paladin. So let's actually, we're going to change our stats a little bit here, which is going to be weird for anyone who tries to look at these character sheets after the fact. But I don't, when we have to do strength saving throws if someone tries to knock us off our mount. So we need at least a little bit of strength. That actually makes this a little bit more straightforward for me. Let's look at what we've got coming up in Artificer. So in 2 more levels of Artificer, we would get Flash of Genius. And what Flash of Genius is great is it lets us add our intelligence modifier to rolls as a reaction, which comes in really handy. You fail a saving throw, you fail anything else. All of those would be helpful. Going a few more levels in Artificer would be good too, because it would potentially get me to the point where I could do, like, as Great Goat on Fire is pointing out, like one of the belts of giant strength or something, which would get my strength up, make me better at those strength saving throws, kind of make it so I don't need to take that in the abilities. We're all in the conceptual stage here for this, but I think more important than that is getting some of the Cavalier features. So let's get it up to at least the next ASI, which is level 4. Here, we should take an ability score increase because we are kind of not great right now. Custom lineage, if you want to do a custom lineage and can convince your DM it's okay for you to be a small sized creature when you do that, with the feet would probably be a little bit better for this build, now that I'm into the build, because I've come up now with 2 feats that I want included. Well, actually, let me stop and think here. So I was going to take Sentinel, because with Sentinel, when you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, the creature's speed becomes 0 for the rest of the turn. And this was going to be great for us because it would make it so, like, they would move into our longer reach. We'd be able to hit them with the glaive. They would be stopped. They wouldn't be able to do that same kind of damage to us. But once we get to 10th level in Cavalier, we get a kind of similar thing. Creatures provoke an opportunity attack from you when they move 5 feet or more well within your reach. So that would be like them moving from 10 to 5, which isn't as good, right? This is weaker. And you hit them with an opportunity attack, the target's speed is reduced to 0 until the end of its current turn. So this wouldn't really do what we want either, because we want to keep them a little bit further away. Because we're not super durable. So we need to keep them mostly out of reach, which means we can't have them moving 5 feet within our reach in order to do the attack that knocks them down. We need to be able to take Sentinel here. Okay, we talked through that all. We all agree now. The other great thing about Sentinel is even if someone takes the disengage action to try to get away from you, it doesn't matter. You can still lock them down. And so this is going to be kind of our role here, is we're going to be setting ourselves up on the battlefield to try to hit people with our reach, to use our movement to kind of box them out. And we are able to then, this gives us another kind of feature where when a creature within 5 feet of you makes an attack against a target. So this is kind of also going to make up for the fact that we're not going to get a ton out of our unwavering mark because our strength isn't going to be high for a while at least. So this one gives us kind of a similar thing to make up for that. Does this mean I should maybe pick a different fighter subclass? Maybe. But for now, we're going to move on ahead because thematically, this makes the most sense. Let's see what this looks like. Let me double check on what my abilities are too. Okay, so we are now level 9. We have 5 levels in Artificer and 4 in Fighter. We still have the 2 attacks, which are now +7 to hit thanks to our increased proficiency. Still doing 1d10 +3, but now we're using a very similar tactic, right? Run up, hit, use Pull Arm Master to do a bonus action hit if you want, and then dance, and then So actually, I don't think we can do that because I think the bonus action hit is only 5 foot reach. So yeah, we have to get our bonus action attack from other places. So yeah, we're going to hit with the glaive from our main attack at 10 feet reach. We're going to move back a few feet and hope they come for us. Once per day, we're going to be burning our mark so that they basically have to hit us. We're going to try to do this on the biggest enemy of the day so that they have to come towards us, not any of our teammates. Meanwhile, we're kind of using our speed and positioning to try to like protect other people, using our reach to kind of control the movement of the other enemies with the combination of Polearm Master, letting us hit someone when they come within reach, and Sentinel, meaning they stop when we hit them, unable to progress any further. That's getting somewhere. Now we're up to 70 hit points. We are at an AC of 16 since we finally fixed our dexterity. And yeah, this is looking a little bit better. I think we're next going to be taking at least another 2 levels in fighter, because I want to get another ASI so we can actually, since we might as well take it all the way to 7. Okay. So we currently have an odd numbered intelligence, which is not great. There's a few feats that give you just +1 intelligence, but I want to see if maybe there's a better place for me to dump the other +1. There's not really. Everything else is even, which makes me, I think, want to take, the telekinetic feat, which, if I remember right, yes, lets us increase our intelligence. This is from Tasha's, I think, so again, you'll have to, anything outside of like the core rulebook and the DMG, you should really kind of check with your DM to see what they're playing with. But this teaches us the Mage Hand cantrip, which is just a fun, cool little thing to add to our repertoire. It also gives us the ability to, as a bonus action, try to telekinetically shove one creature. They have to save on a strength saving throw against our basically artificer spell save DC, or be moved either towards us or away from us, which is just another way for us to kind of push people around the battlefield. When they get too close or when they are too far away or whatever, we need to pull them away from an injured person. It's just a helpful little thing to have. And we also gain at 7th level the warding maneuver, which is going to, like mentioned, roll a d8 to add to someone's AC. It also gives them resistance against the attack's damage, and we get to use this equal to our con modifier, which hopefully we'll be able to bump up some more soon. So let's see where this puts us right now for our little friend Gallop. AC of 16, 94 hit points. We're level 12, of course. Artificer 5, Fighter 7. We still, let me make sure this is set right. Yeah. Infusions are still set right. These saving throws are not great. If someone wants to banish you, they've got a very good chance of banishing you. Someone wants to charm you or mind control you, oh man, do they got a good chance. Strength, they want to knock you off something, they've got a pretty good chance of doing it. But our intelligence is up +1, which means we are now an additional, we're +8 to hit now. We've got that extra +1 on the damage, which is just that little bit extra every single round, every single attack that adds up. Oh wait, there's another feat I have to take, but it's really good. Oh. Yeah, no, I need to do it. Great Weapon Master gives you a cool thing where when you do a crit or you knock someone down, you get to make another melee weapon attack as a bonus action. What's really important for us is that you can choose to take a -5 penalty to an attack roll to add +10 to the attack's damage. You'll need to kind of judge what your enemy ACs are to decide when this makes sense to do, but being able to add +10 to the damage with our 2 attacks, with all of our opportunities for opportunity attacks, with our opportunities for bonus action attacks, with action surge, is potentially a lot of extra damage you're stacking on over the round. This also is definitely, oh man, I really wish I could bump more of my stats though. Like, we're playing with real mediocre stats kind of through here. We've even ended up with a dexterity higher than our intelligence, which was not the goal. That wasn't really supposed to happen. Something's gone awry. Not really, but it's a little funky. So now, before I decide if we want more levels in Artificer or more levels in Fighter, I think I need to take a quick look at the Artificer class features and remind myself what's coming up. So we're currently level 5. We get Flash of Genius is what I really wanted, which is also going to give us a couple more spell slots. Not 3rd level yet though. And no ability score increase until level 8. Whereas with the Fighter, we get another ASI at the next level. We get Indomitable, which lets us reroll saving throw. After that, hold the line, which gives us the weaker Sentinel, which doesn't really help us here. We get our extra attack at level 11. This level 18 feature for Cavalier is incredible, but you really need to like build a straight Cavalier and be like high level for it to matter, and very few campaigns go to this point. But you get to basically take an opportunity attack on every creature's turn. Combining this in a build like this with Polearm Expert and Sentinel is potentially like broken. It's like the old Tavern Brawler on Earth Darkana that got trashed. But it made it into the Cavalier. But it's an 18th level ability, right? Everything's broken at level 18. So let's take that next ASI. But we are going to take just a regular ASI. We're going to put 1 point in intelligence and an additional point in wisdom. For reasons you'll see, I think. I've got half a plan. No, I don't. I should just dump these all in intelligence for now. And then do my plan at the higher level. Yeah, that's smarter. Okay. So we are now level 13. Bumping our intelligence finally gets us the +9 to hit, 1d10 +4. Remember, if we are doing a great weapon master attack, that's going to drop it to +4 to hit, but will give us 1d10 +14. We still only have 2 attacks per action now, and we are going to focus on getting that intelligence up a little bit higher, because that is what's currently kind of keeping us slow. It's not really a crazy plan. I just might take Resilient Wisdom down the line. And so instead of taking Telekinetic, I just put the extra point in Wisdom so that Resilient Wisdom might work. It's not a super crazy plan. Nothing really that secret here. So let's do that. Let's get this intelligence up. So yeah, we're going to take 4 more levels. Ugh, that was a lot of levels all at once. But now we get 3 attacks per action with our action surge. That's potentially 6 attacks in a round, plus potentially a bonus action attack for 7. We're now plus 11 to hit, which is far, far more respectable. Even with the Great Weapon Master -5, that's now a plus 6 against many enemies. That's going to be worthwhile when you're adding plus 10 damage. Yeah, and so we've got our second wind. We've got our warding maneuver we get to do twice a day. We've got action surge, extra attack, indomitable to re-roll those saving throws. We can stay on our thing basically no matter what. We are making progress on this build. We still need to cap intelligence. Which I can do with potentially a half feat, or maybe taking something to set up a resilient down the line. But we're also right, most campaigns don't go to level 17. This build honestly took a little bit too long to come online for my taste. You're useful before this, but like, you're not going to hit quite as often as you want. There's definitely some things I haven't fully gotten through here yet. This is my first time building a mounted combatant. I've done artificers before, but this is the first mounted one, and we're leaving some things on the table here for sure. I'm just trying to think how I would have built it going like actually straight through. So let's see, we've got 3 levels left to go until we cap this. If we put those in fighter, we get 1 more ASI and the ferocious charger feature, which potentially lets us knock someone prone. But by the time we're level 20, basically half the things we're fighting are immune to the prone condition, right? If we dump those over here, which is what I'm leaning towards, I think, yep, we'll still get the same ASI, we'll get an extra expertise, and we'll get Flash of Genius, which will make our saving throws way better and will give us an extra expertise, a couple more spell slots, a couple more spells, a few things like that. So we're going to end this with 3 more levels of Artificer. We're going to see if we're now at a high enough level to get anything that's gonna... No. No. Okay. Since this is our last ASI, we might as well take a half feat. Keen Mind is fun if you want to give yourself a photographic memory. I do it sometimes on my wizard builds. I still think we're going to do telekinetic here and basically say that we've built into our armor, our steel defender, whatever, how you ever want to play it, a way to like repel enemies away using this or pull them towards us using your arcane expansions. And let's look at where that leaves us. Having finally capped intelligence, man, that hurt. I need to rethink this build. There's something here, but we're not quite hitting the points I hoped. We're too multi-ability score dependent. We're not getting enough hit points. We need a better place to get our AC from so that we don't need to have so many points in dexterity and can put more in constitution. But there's something here, because I'm pointing out these criticisms because I know there's points left to optimize, but this is still a respectable build. Level 20, we are going to add a couple more spells here. Let's see what's going to be fun. Rope Trick is good if you need to get short rest. Lesser Restoration makes us a more useful healer. Heat Metal is a fun one if you want to do a little bit of extra damage. Oh, I also forgot to mention, we've had the ability for a long time, for a while now, to do Branding Smite, which will often be worthwhile. You'll cast it as your bonus action, and then every attack you deal, so 3 attacks per round, plus 3 attacks if you action surge, plus often a bonus action attack, plus opportunity attack, you would be doing an extra 2d6 radiant damage to the target, which is a lot. That's potentially like 14d6 extra damage we've been doing that I forgot to mention. So now that's there too, so you'll be doing all that. Let's take Spider Climb, because it's fun. You get to climb on walls. And Lesser Restoration. Oh. This is another spell from the Broken Book. Strixhaven. This could be an interesting use of our concentration. It doesn't matter that it increases our walking speed, but we don't provoke opportunity attacks. If that extended to the mount too, which I don't think it does. I think that's going to be the problem here, is that when it extends to the mount. But that is potentially an interesting thing to consider. Is that, like, that is potentially a way to get some extra utility out of a build like this, because then you can, like, definitely get the bonus action attack from using the like Polearm Master. You can definitely get the advantage from having your ally within 5 feet of you then, and you can just run away. This also means we could potentially leave out. We don't have to worry about provoking opportunity attacks as we move away from them then, so we can run up and do that. We still get the benefits of them moving in and us being able to stop them. So if your DM would let this spell from the Broken Book also apply to, like, your mount when you're coming through, which, let me make sure it does. Let's see. Oh, why'd that stop? But if we could do that without taking opportunity attacks, that would be potentially helpful. That would count for a lot. Match yours. It moves as you direct it. Dash, disengage, and dodge. Even on the turn that you mount it. If the mount provokes an opportunity attack while you're on it, the attacker can target you or the mount. So if your DM would let this get around opportunity attacks, this would be an interesting way to take the build to potentially get around some of the problems we've had issues with. But I don't think rules as written that works, so we're just going to add in Heat Metal, because it's not as good as Brandishing Smite generally, but you can turn a sword really hot and do some extra fire damage. Make sure your handles is like obsidian or wrapped in enough stuff that it won't burn you if you do that though. Or cast it on like the plate armor person in front of you, and then we'll add in rope trick just because, like I said, it's really fun. Oh, we still got more. We're gonna add in expeditious retreat in case our steel defender falls and we got to get out of there fast. Okay, so our level 20 build here. We have 155 hit points. We have an actually, let me make sure I've got all my infusions done right now that I say that. Oh, see, and this is the other thing, is we're currently using our infused item as our arcane focus, and we can't double infuse an item, so my idea to put an enhanced arcane focus as one of our infusions makes no sense when you remember that that's not a thing we can really do right now. So instead, we get a cool ring that's going to let us regain spell slots, which is good because we don't have a ton of spell slots. So this makes us a little more of a useful caster. Okay, so 155 hit points. We are doing plus 12 to hit, 3 attacks per action, up to 2 actions per round, 1d10 plus 6. We're often against enemies going to want to drop to plus 7 to hit for 1d10 plus 16 damage. If you want, you can replace that action with a booming blade. It's often going to hurt your total damage, but could be worthwhile. A magical weapon that does damage will help. We're using our initial bonus action to cast Branding Smite at 2nd level, and this is why being able to recharge that will be useful. We're holding that concentration for as long as we can, and every single one of those attacks we're doing is going to do that extra 2d6 radiant. So what did I say? It's going to be often plus 7 to hit for 1d10 plus 16 slashing damage plus 2d6 radiant times 3 plus the action surge plus the bonus action plus the opportunity attack, and over an entire round you end up doing quite a substantial amount of damage. If you want to move within 5 feet, you can use your steel defender to get advantage on the attack, but yeah, this is not as powerful as I hoped it would be. I was hoping there would be better ways around some of this, but I had misread some of the Cavalier abilities, and it's not the most powerful build I've ever seen, and I would honestly say even my current level 19 artificer is more powerful than this, though they do have like one magical item that was given to them, one or a couple. So, but like, just for some quick comparison, 176, 155, right? AC 24, AC 16. This isn't a mounted character, obviously, but we're still just, I have the ability to do divine smites on this one, way more spell slots, and I lose out on a lot of those attacks, right? I only get 2 attacks per action. I've got no action surge, so I can't do like that same kind of 8 attacks in a round, all with an extra 2d6 from Branding Smite type of damage. But being able to do the Divine Smite does help to make up for that. And the Armor Artificer has that like built-in taunt with the Thunder Gauntlets that I'm able to take advantage of. And so I feel like there's been some things left on the table with this build, and so we may revisit it at some point. But this is a good starting point. Thank you for those who joined me for this stream. This is my first time doing a stream like this, and I thought it was kind of fun. I've released a couple of videos recently. Make sure to check those out if you want. They're good videos. They're linked in the description and are also on my channel, obviously. And like I mentioned, I have character sheets for this build in a folder linked in the description here, so you can take a look at it. Do you have ways to make this stronger? I would appreciate it if you shared them in a comment. And thank you all for joining me today.